Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus and welcome to another analysis video. On the agenda tonight we have Ana Vidovic, and Anna's going to be playing Asturias by Isaac Albéniz, and there's a lot of pronunciations going on here, but I think this is coming from about 2015, so let's get Anna up on screen and see how she gets on. I'm just going to jump in here because that was a really good point to jump in, just to really show the point I'm about to make about the dynamics of Anna's playing. It's like listening to waves of music, and that dynamic, the way that it just rolls in and then rolls out, all within playing some really top technical stuff. Anna started playing guitar, she said, when she's like 4 or 5. So she's been playing quite a while. I think she's going to be in her mid-30s here. But just the technique on show with that first and second finger, so accurate, almost like a metronome, but it's not mechanical because she applies that expression into her playing. And I just want to mention something about the stretches that she's got going on. She's got a great stretch in there, but not only is she stretching, she's keeping it all really clean. When you're younger, you tend to start on a half-size guitar, and then a 3/4 size guitar, and then a full-size guitar. And that's just purely to try and match the growth that you experience when you're growing up. But some people's hands and height do not correspond to the size of that guitar. So I can't imagine somebody who's been spending so long playing and then they get to that final stage of playing a full-size guitar, but their hand hasn't grown enough to get the stretches in to play these classical pieces. With these top players, somehow the genetics is just falling into place. Have a look at that hand compared to the size of her head. We've actually got a great comparison here. You can see that her hand is probably about the size of her head. So she's got quite a big hand going on. If I hold mine up to my head, I'm kind of missing, you know, the whole top section. Another thing that I want to point out is the fact that this is 7 minutes 14, this whole performance, and she's not reading it. She's got no reference point. So you can imagine, or at least it gives you an idea of the amount of practice it takes to get down a piece like this. It has been practiced so much and for so long that you can remember 7 minutes, over 7 minutes of notes that are coming at you like a conveyor belt that's just turned to 100 miles an hour. Let's get into it a little bit more. just want to quickly draw attention to those harmonics that she's throwing in. These aren't natural harmonics. Natural harmonics, you can just hit the string, and then if you lightly touch it in the middle of the guitar, you get a harmonic. Whereas what Ana's doing here, she's playing the chord and then she's picking the string, but instantly stopping that string from vibrating in exactly the right place to produce that harmonic. And she still puts expression into the harmonic. It's not just played all out. She's really playing it softly and just deadening it ever so much. The impressive thing about this is just the attention to detail and the expression that she puts into absolutely the whole piece. But let's get back into it. I'm just going to jump in again because I noticed something there very quickly. Blink and you'll miss it. But Ana fretted a note with her third finger, I think it was on the D string, and she absolutely bent it up to make sure that the string underneath was going to ring out. And I've just quickly cued it back just a few seconds so you can see what I'm talking about. Look at her third finger there and the gap between the strings, the gap between the A string and the D string. You can see they've been pushed together. She's done that to make sure that the string underneath that D string, so the G string, is actually ringing out. And like I said, it's a tiny detail, but when you're watching performances like this, you just look out for such subtle techniques and little things that the player does to make sure the performance is absolutely A1. Now I've just cued it back to where we got to, just so we can check out the rest of the performance. Just listen to how low that dynamic was. It was so quiet and so well expressed. And then waving in with those runs that I mentioned earlier. The dynamics is so impressive here that if somebody coughs, it almost just like sounds like somebody shouting because everyone's listening so intently to that guitar. Let's get back into it again. And this is so well put together and so well played that you start to forget about the techniques involved. Playing that composition and playing it authentically so that that original composer, the whole sound of what they were putting on paper just absolutely makes sense and was exactly what they intended an audience to be able to hear. But Ana, of course, needs top level technique in order to then deliver that live. Here we can see that Anna's so close to her fretting hand, just watching it intently, making sure everything is really nice and clean. And something that I mentioned on other videos about when people are playing at the top technical level like Ana is here, even though it sounds great, she makes it look easy, but it's really top technical playing, and she's got it propped up in that classical guitar position like I mentioned in my video yesterday, that you've got it on your left leg rather than the right leg that kind of rock guys and blues guys tend to just throw it on the right leg. But that classical position, it means that the guitar is never moving. You can see here that it's fixed in that position because it has got to be as stationary as possible in order for these techniques to be achievable, because the strings can't move even by half an inch. If you start moving the neck around, the playing's going to suffer, the sound's going to suffer, and ultimately the composition is going to suffer as well. And let's not understate the importance of the right hand in this, because that's where all the expression and all those dynamics are coming from. Just picking ever so slightly lighter and then being a little bit more aggressive with it in sections as well. That first and second finger, absolutely like a metronome, but not mechanical, because she really mixes up. She throws in that speed increase in waves and then the decrease as well. So she's got total control of that right hand, first and second finger, or I and M if you want to talk about it like that. If you don't know about fingerstyle playing, the fingers have different letters, and the thumb is a P and an I, M, A, and that's how they're mapped. So you'll sometimes see that written underneath on fingerstyle pieces, because it's just telling you which finger that you're supposed to be picking with, or whether you're supposed to be going with your thumb. You just know that she's been playing for so long, at the age of 4 or 5. I know that her dad played guitar and her brother played guitar as well, so I think her brother inspired her to start playing at age 4 or 5. I don't know how you can remember back that far, but just so many years that have gone into this performance. A lot of players would get to the point where they can play this fine all the way through, 7 minutes, great, but there's no expression in it. It's so impressive to get something down that's so technically advanced, but then almost make the playing subconscious, so that you can then start to get a conscious expression onto the piece. And that's exactly what Anna's doing here. So a fantastic performance, and so many cool techniques in there that just absolutely fly under the radar all the time, because it is so well put together and Anna makes it look so easy. But thank you so much for suggesting this video for me to take a look at, and keep those suggestions coming in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Rock!